Hi guys, today we're going to be making a shade terrarium from the game Hollow Knight. If you haven't checked it out yet, it's really worth playing. We'll start off with a little glass bottle and we're just going to open it up and pop some PVA glue in there. Just a few drops, enough to evenly coat the bottom layer of the jar. We spread it around and then we're going to add in some dirt. I start off this way because the polymer clay we add later is going to stick much better to the glass if it has this layer in there. Wait for it to dry and then we're going to add in some translucent liquid Sculpey. This helps stick the polymer clay to the dirt. Roll a ball of polymer clay and pop it into the bottle. We're going to smush it down so that it has a nice flat even layer at the base. And now we're going to make some rocks that will be added to the bottom of the jar. I've made mine purple to suit Crystal Peak in the game. We're going to be making a bunch of little balls and then we're going to press them out onto the glass. You won't need quite as many rocks as I made. I think I went a bit overkill, about half this much should be enough. We're going to paint a lighter purple layer on the top of the rocks and this will give it some depth. Next we place all the rocks into the base of the terrarium and we're going to evenly spread them out throughout the bottle. Once the base is covered, we're going to make some crystals. Start by taking some translucent clay and some pink and mix them together roughly. Crystals vary in colour, so I'm not going to mix this in all the way. We're now going to cut out the crystals into long rectangles and then bake them. Once the rectangular crystals are baked, we're going to cut them up and add them into a base of unbaked clay. To make the crystals look more realistic, I'm just cutting off some edges so that the top is a little bit more pointy than the base. After you're happy with how your crystals look, bake them in the oven. Next we're going to paint the edges of the crystals with some white paint. This helps the crystals look more realistic and emphasises the points on the edges. After the paint is dry, we're going to coat it with a gloss finish. To make the shade itself, we're going to start off with a ball of clay which we're going to press the sides. To make his eye sockets, I'm pressing into the head with a ball tool. We're going to put his head onto a needle. Next we add a little body to the shade. This makes it look more realistic when we add his cloak later. We're also going to add some tiny legs as well, which will be attached with some translucent liquid Sculpey. To make the shade cloak, we're going to be adding some translucent liquid Sculpey onto the body after it's baked, and then we're going to press thin sausages onto him. To make this more realistic, try to get the tendrils to come up in different directions and angles. After the cloak is finished, we're going to add his little horns on top of his head. I hold them up to his head to make sure that the horns will be the right size. At the end of each horn, cut out a small triangle so that they are the correct shape. Once your horns are positioned correctly, we're going to add in his eyes. I'm using some glow-in-the-dark clay just to give it a cool effect at night time. To make his eyes, roll little balls of clay and roll them out into ovals. Press the eyes into the sockets and then bake. While the shade is baking, we can add the crystals into our jar. You can put as many or as few crystals as you like. Aim to keep them close to the sides so that the shade doesn't run into them later on. To suspend the shade in mid-air, we're going to use some nylon thread. We're going to thread it through a needle and tie a knot at the end. I like to make 2 knots just so that it's a little more secure. Then trim off any excess at the end. Take the needle and push it through the centre of the cork at the base, and we're going through the centre of the top of the cork. To get it through the other side, I use pliers. Try to avoid aiming the needle directly into the path of your fingers. Pull the string firmly. We're then going to go back through to the other side. I have stabbed myself multiple times doing this, so just be prepared. Cut the thread off at the height you want your shade to sit. Carefully remove the shade from the needle. We're going to add some Loctite gel or super glue to the end of the nylon thread, and then we're going to slowly push it into the hole that the pin has made in the shade's head. The deeper you push the string into the head, the more secure it will be. Pop him into the little terrarium, and there you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a comment below to let me know what you'd like to see next.